listening to The Creative Download, a podcast to inspire and encourage others to live in the fullness of their creativity. Hi guys, how's it going? Hi Christy.
Hi Chelsea, welcome back everyone. We've had
Welcome everyone.
yeah.
Happy Friday. Well, at least Friday is when we're recording this. Yeah, and if you're watching our YouTube, my background's different. I haven't moved. I'm house sitting for a friend, so I'm in a new location for a little bit. Yeah, thanks so much you guys for listening and watching, subscribing. As always, we love it when you like and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram. Let's see. Gosh, it's been a whirlwind.
Yes.
Kind of past couple of weeks for all of us, or for both of us, I should say, probably for all of us that are listening.
Yes.
So first, let's get into what we're working on. What are you working on right now, Christy?
Well,
Ooh,
yes.
sorry.
No.
And I think we talked about adding, like, how did you fail magnificently this week?
Oh, yeah.
Which we can
That's
ponder that.
yeah. We don't have a guest this week because we've been having a lot of guests every episode. So this is like our normal chat, right?
This is just us. Yeah.
And what I've been working on this week, well, we've been doing a lot of work on the TV series, and then so just kind of organizing that, which we'll get into later. And then I'm also redoing some of my old songs, re-recording them.
Nice.
And I'll talk a little bit more about how I found where my genre that I wanted to do then too, but a lot of my music from 2000 in the 2000 era was very like Americana, country, and even bluegrass, which was very popular at the time. And I don't know if you remember the "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?"
Oh, yeah.
So like I loved all that music, and my last batch of songs was all very bluegrass. And so but the songs, which is very interesting to me, they can go into other genres.
Nice.
So my husband's been begging me to do a song called "Lay Me Down" that is a lot of people's favorite of mine. And I used to have it be just this song that was a cappella that I sang at the beginning of a set when I would play live, more as like my own grounding into being on stage, but also to capture, if I'm in a like cafe or I was opening up for somebody, then you have everybody talking.
Right.
I would just get up and I'd stand there with nothing and I'd belt out like basically like a little prayer song.
Yeah.
And it would get everybody's attention.
I love that.
So when I went to record, my producer at the time was like, we got to flush this song out. And it's still only a 2-minute song, but we did add a little bit more to it. And so now I have a producer, my vocal coach, Matt Fowler. He's doing the production with me, and we're doing it dream pop. It's like totally like slowing it down. It's really like dreamy, and it's really fun. It's like fun to redo the songs. The other thing I'm working on is get my health, and so is actually Drew, my husband. We had a family member who's not that much older than us have a real big health scare, and not really understanding like pre-diabetic conditions, which I have fallen under that in my blood work. Over the last few years, and I've known that, and I go to the doctor regularly and have my blood checked because diabetes is a hereditary thing later. Well, not hereditary. My family members have gotten type 2 diabetes as they aged.
Yeah.
And so I've been really conscious of it. Well, then we watched our family member really like struggle. I mean, he was in the hospital from part of it was high blood sugar.
Yeah.
And so ever since then, well, Drew kicked it off. He always does stuff first like this. He stopped. He's like, I'm not eating any more cookies, no candy. I mean, this is the guy that when he goes to the store to get groceries, he comes home with hot dogs. He comes home with donuts. He comes home with chocolate chip cookies. He comes home with all the bad shit, right?
Right.
He's like, I'm done. And so it took me a couple of days watching him, and then I'm like, all right, I'm in. So today's like day 10 of,
Wow.
and it's like, I don't think you can actually cut sugar out of your diet completely
Right.
because it's in everything, but
Yeah.
really trying to monitor that I stay close to 30 grams a day.
Nice.
And let me tell you something. I am crazy right now. Like,
Yeah.
it is a drug. I just am like,
Oh,
I am just like baffled at how intense this has been. Now, I smoked a long time when I was young, 12 years or something. And when I quit smoking, it felt like this. I was like, whoa, like you couldn't even, I quit a job. There was like, I mean, I was just not, it took about a month to like
yeah.
get back to myself. And my husband quit, when he quit smoking, he just quit one day. It was like nothing. He doesn't have like the personality that I do. He can just like, all right. He's
Right.
not like, yeah. So it's today is day 10, and I'm going to tell you as a creative person, uh, that was blocking me
Oh, wow.
on a lot of stuff. I'm not really, and I'm getting a lot of downloads, and but
That's
it's like I'm
amazing.
really having to like, whoa, this is a lot.
Yeah.
Like I can't be doing, I have to like have balance.
Yeah.
So, uh, yes. So it's been, I feel like I'm like very awake,
Good.
very awake.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah, so that's what I've been working on and trying to manage my
That's
emotions,
fantastic.
my moods this week. So,
That's what
um,
terrifies me about sugar is yeah, it's and because I never want to say this, and make like belittle drug use, but like sugar for me is my drug, and the hardest part about it is that it is everywhere. So
everywhere. It's
that's
in
encouraging
everything.
that
It's
you
in
guys are doing that.
everything.
It's in everything. And it's like the good sugars are fine, the fruits and things like that. You still have to, watch the amounts, but yeah, it's like so easy for it to be in so many things. Well, I'm really proud of you. That's
Thank you.
exciting. That's amazing. And that's cool to hear how it affects you creatively too. Like, and I totally believe it. Like, yeah. Um,
My,
yeah, so yeah.
you, Chelsea, what's going on? What have you been working on this week?
Um, so we worked crazy hard last
Yeah.
week to finish up the pilot.
Yeah. Good
At least,
job too. You
at,
did great. I think it read really, really well.
yay! It was, oh gosh, that was so fun.
It is
And
fun.
yeah, so we worked really, really hard to get that at least to a point where it's getting close to being like polished and done. Like I know we wanted to, our goal for those of you guys that haven't been listening, or maybe we haven't said it, but our goal had been to get it ready for a friend in the industry to read it and get their feedback. So it is currently in their hands.
Yeah. Which is
We'll
so
talk.
fun and
Yeah,
scary at the same time.
and yeah, and scary. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. But yeah, so that was a huge thing to complete.
Yeah.
Um, and well, so yeah, so I'll go with my failed magnificently here in a second. But so working on that. um, let's see. I haven't been creating anything new. But what I've been working on was getting ready to perform. Um,
Yes, I wanted to hear about that. Yeah.
yeah. So last Friday, I got to do a songwriter night. So my creative work that week and the week before were practicing, prepping, figuring out how we wanted the songs to really play live. Because for those of you that don't do music as your art, like that is, and I know you understand this, Christy, but like the recording version and then playing it live
Yeah.
a lot of times are at least slightly different. And for example, with mine, they both are the two that I played could easily be too slow live. So we increased the tempo and we, figured out, okay, where are we gonna make it big? And it was just myself singing and then my friend harmonizing and playing guitar.
Fun.
So yeah, so it was really fun to kind of figure that part of things out. So we did that Friday night, and then we decided to do an open mic night on Tuesday night this last week
Good.
or this
Oh,
week. So
nice.
yeah, so we got out there. We got to do 3 songs that night, 2 songs on Friday night. So this is so silly, but it was so fun to be like at the open mic. Um, when I was introducing Pieces, the song my song that I sang, and then we did two covers. But when I introduced Pieces, it was just fun to be like, yeah, we played this at the Indigo Room on Friday night. I've never really been able to say that where I'm like, oh yeah, we
Oh,
did that,
that's
you
so
know.
exciting. Yes.
And it was really cool. It was really encouraging because those were, Friday night were both my own original songs. And I've never really played anything except for maybe once, but it wasn't even like I had written the song for the purpose. These were my songs that I wrote that I got to share. And like I was so nervous, but I was so excited. So I'll post those. My friend filmed Friday night, so I'll post that to our Instagram
Oh,
for just
yeah.
for fun.
Yeah,
Um,
do so.
yeah, so that was big, and then I did get a chance to work on my novel a little bit this week too. I
Oh,
jumped back
good.
into that. So yeah, wrote some pages this week, and it's so fun working on it right now because there's a lot of stuff that I still don't know what's going to happen, and kind of discovering it as I go and discovering the characters. And I figured out some really fun character stuff this week. As I was writing, I was like, oh, and I'm sitting there, I'm like furiously writing in the story, and then
Aren't characters so fun? I love the
oh,
character part.
they're so fun. And I know a lot of people, like we learned in grad school, like I had character profile sheets, and I think I've shared them with you
Yeah.
because as we've been working on the TV series. But I found for me that I need to um, kind of start writing so that I can start to figure out my character. And I noticed that was kind of the case with our script too. Like we had a good idea for a couple of our characters, but then still to start writing, and then you start to learn the characters a little bit, and you start to realize like, oh, okay, this is who they are. This is
Yeah.
where I see that, so it was kind of a process of writing a little bit of the character profile and then writing some of the script or writing some of the novel and then writing more, adding more to the character profile, blah, blah, blah. So that was really fun. Anyways,
Yeah.
um, and then my fail magnificently, this is why I love, ever since we had Rebecca Kenna on here, and y'all should go back and listen to that episode. It was great, talking about, like failure really isn't failure. And she has a lovely phrase called fail magnificently that I started realizing, I'm like, you know what? I want to look at that just as much as like the quote unquote wins or what we're working on. Um, because my biggest fail magnificently recently was our pilot. We had a different version for we had version number one
Yeah.
and wrote the whole thing. I mean, and a couple revisions of it, and then we realized it needed a stronger opening. Plus, we added a whole what do you call it, tool to it. And tools probably isn't the right word, and I'm blanking on the word. But anyway, so a way that we wanted to write it, something we wanted to add in, a couple characters that we were missing. So we totally rewrote the pilot. Used pieces from the original, but really, those had to be rewritten too. So that was like a really cool example for me of a fail magnificently, where it's like, okay, if we hadn't gotten that down, we may not have gotten to the point where we realized, ooh, this is good. This is what makes it. This is great. You
Yeah.
know.
Okay. So it's funny you say fail magnificently on that because that's cool to hear that's how you're seeing it. But how I see it is
Hmm.
it's a part of the writing process.
Hmm.
So like I love that you talked about the character sheets and like because
Hmm.
maybe we can just talk about go do you have other stuff to share that you're still working on before we
No, those were the things I will clarify on the fail magnificently. The reason I look at it like that is
yeah.
because my previous point of view would have been, oh, wasted all that time writing it this way when we should have been writing it this way.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And now I realize, I mean, I would have seen some of the benefit, but not nearly as much as I do now, where I'm like, oh, we had to get that out and we're not using it, right? So, like, we're not using that pilot. That's where my brain goes to, oh, it's a waste. It wasn't used type thing,
Yeah,
because I
okay.
used to struggle with, oh, I'm wasting time on this, or I wasted all that time on that project, and now I'm trying to do this, So that's where my brain used to go. And now I'm like, oh no, so my brain would have thought it as like failure. Oh, this was wrong. Now we know what to do. We're going to do this. But now I see it as like, oh, that's brilliant because that got us here.
Yes.
That's that clarification. But yeah, let's chat a little bit about so I know like with today we were talking about we'll share with you guys a little bit more on our process with the TV series. We can talk about our characters and that whole thing. And then we also wanted to jump into some stuff regarding AI
Yeah.
because that is a very hot topic right now, and we just wanted to share our perspective on it. But yeah, so let's jump back to our TV series, and you were talking about characters.
Well, it's just that the process. I'm reflecting on how we've been doing this process, and like I love how what you just shared too. I think it's so important for people listening to hear this part. Like this is why I think we do this podcast is because you're not going to see this. I don't know if you get this in a class. I mean, you might if your teacher talks like this and your group works like this, but the idea of going, it's not even a revision. It's like almost, I'm trying to figure out so a lot of times I almost feel like we're doing this writing in a little bit of a upside down way, if that makes
Mhm,
sense. So when we started off writing, we had all of our ideas
mhm.
and characters already kind of brewing and all of that. And so we just started doing like a big write dump. Like, remember, we
Yeah,
just
we just brain
got
dump,
together. Yeah.
vomited everything out.
And we did a big write dump and we use Google Docs, which I think is really helpful. If you're listening to this and you don't know, Chelsea lives in Colorado. I live in California. So we do all of this online together and sometimes separately, sometimes together. But I remember when we started doing the characters and you sent the character, she has this amazing character like outline.
5 pages, yeah,
Yeah,
profile, like a
five
character
pages. And
profile.
I looked at it and come from a teacher background. I could totally see giving that to my students.
Right.
But for me, I write like you do, and I bet a lot of writers like this do that. That kind of stunted me at
It's
first.
overwhelming.
Yeah. So
I
I was
realize
like,
that too.
but I'm going to go back to it. So here, the reason I'm bringing that up is it's a great resource. So a lot of writing, I think we have to get away from, if you want to really write, away from the structure and organization of the writing at first. Like it kind of goes back
Mhm,
to the book I talked about before, Where the Red Fern Grows.
mhm.
I've talked about it on this show where he didn't have the author, who I never remember his name. He so I don't think he's alive anymore, but I apologize that I don't remember your name. He didn't know grammar. He didn't do grammar. He had the story and he was story and story. And so he just went and wrote it out with no grammar and his wife came and organized it. So there's like, I feel like two processes with writing. And when we're in school, the organization part is so front and center and not the actual writing part
Mhm.
that we don't work on that part of our brain as easy, depending on your
Right.
writing teacher.
Right.
So like, like elementary school, middle school, high school, they're not doing a lot of creative writing unless you're in a school that's focused on that. And you might have a teacher that says, we're going to vomit everything out. We're going to
Right.
put all your ideas on one. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry. Because I remember you saying that to me, like, we're not going to worry about any of this. We're going to put it all out on one big thing.
Yeah.
And I go back to that all the time
Yeah.
now because now we're organizing it. So now
Right.
we pretty much have our concept and idea out on paper.
Mhm.
And then it's like, okay, now we need to structure it
Mhm.
into the genre, which is TV series genre, is what we decided
Mhm.
that it's going to go. It's not
Mhm.
going to be a film. It's not going to be a play. It's not going to be a book.
Right.
Although there could be things that it could
Yeah.
do, but
Yeah.
we're choosing to do the TV series as the genre, the avenue that it's going to be communicated.
Mhm.
So I just think that's just so it's like so like failing so yeah, it's so funny you say that was a failure because I see it as like definitely the steps to the better.
Right.
And it wasn't like a revision. It wasn't like, oh, you need to go revise this. It's not good enough. That's not how it went. It was like we read through it. We talk a lot when we're
Mhm.
writing. We
Yep.
talk through, I think this is really important as a writer when you're working with people. And I'm sure the writing teams do this, and that a lot of it's talked out before it's
Oh
written,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's like you talk it out. What are the talk it out? And as we talked it out, it became clear that, oh, we need to put that part in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe not even the whole part at the beginning. It's going to
Right.
be like, so it's almost like the story begins to evolve on its own.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get different people in there too, somebody else might read it. So now we're waiting to hear back from somebody. He might
Right.
have another view of that. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's like you get another view and you make it a little bit, you tweak it a little bit better, because the whole idea is that we want to communicate our story and idea to other people. So now we're waiting back to hear how that's communicated. It's so
Yes.
different than like, is it good? It's not whether it's good enough or not.
Right.
We know it's good.
We believe in it.
We believe in it. It's
Right.
now, is it communicating? Is the tone
Yeah.
communicating? Is the story, are the characters communicating? Is any of it confusing to you?
Right.
That's kind of how I'm seeing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and it's so funny because with those character profiles, I think it's good to have it as an option, like the organizing, because some like knowing that that's there, those character profiles, a little bit more structure for those creatives that actually are more structured like that.
I was just thinking
Um,
that.
because like I mean,
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends that are, creatives that are like very organized and very structured. Um, so it's good that that's an option and that it's a tool, but not everybody, not uh, such a revolutionary phrase to say. Not everybody thinks the same. I know. I'm going to coin that because nobody's ever said that before. But so like for people like you and me,
Yeah.
we do have to brain dump. We need to I that's one thing, that's one huge thing that I have learned for myself as a creative, that I need to brain dump. I need to do my vomit drafts. I need to, and I know a lot of people are like that, but maybe like the time frame for when that happens for them,
Yeah.
the timeline. My timeline is going to be different, from somebody who's more logic and organized, that they kind of have to create, maybe they have to create their sections, literally title them, make
Yeah.
space where they can go in. For me, and like what you and I did, we literally opened, like you said, a Google Doc and just dumped and kind of organized it as we went,
Yeah.
just simply so
Yeah,
that we
you
could
did. You were
find
really
things
good at
again.
that. Yeah.
I was trying to do it just so we could find things again,
Yeah.
but I wasn't trying to be in one section going, okay, let's brain dump on this section. Okay, now let's brain dump on this section. It was like, okay, sky's the limit. What comes to mind for this show?
Yeah.
What do we want to see? Even if we can't make it happen down the road, don't worry about, we had to let go of limitations, so that our brains could go, ooh, what do we want to do?
Yeah.
Some people's brains, I know, go, oh God, that's way too many options. I need to start here.
Yeah.
And it's almost like the opposite, where then their brains go, ooh, yes, ooh, and you could do this, ooh, and you could do that. So I just find that fascinating. I love it. So I guess all that to say, for the different creators out there, I mean, everybody's different. And it's so worth figuring out how your brain works and even what tools to use.
Well, yeah,
I
because
mean, let's chat about that a little bit.
yeah, I was thinking about that because in this process, when you're trying to do a whole, I mean, really, when you're doing a TV series, you're actually doing 3 or 4 seasons too. So you're like, oh, this is like,
Yes.
and I'm like, everything, it's almost like I walk around in the world right now. Oh, that could be in the show. Oh, that could be in the show. That could
I
be in
do
the show.
too.
It's like,
Something
ooh,
happened
that's a good
yesterday. I'm like,
idea. How could I do
yeah,
that?
yeah,
So there's a lot going on around it
Hmm.
internally. And we also used Canva, which,
Hmm.
so we're going to talk a little bit, that kind of moves into like just
Oh,
a
that's
tool
true.
technology. AI can be a part of that too.
Yeah.
But Canva was a part that we used in the
Hmm.
sense that we used the whiteboard and we created more of like a season outline kind of, but in a picture.
Yeah.
So that's another idea that's really cool because like it just, we're both very visual and it's
Hmm.
easy for me to see. So like I've been referring to that a
Hmm.
lot when we were writing the synopsis. So like the synopsis is like a one page outline basically of like what the show is going to be about the begin, like the first thing you're going to give somebody to communicate, hey, this is what the show is about,
Hmm.
and then it might have a couple other pages added to it with characters. We've talked about that a little bit, a couple of, some series stories, and then
Story episodes.
yeah, the
Yeah.
pilot, like,
Right.
very, very short. So it's like learning how to, like, it's almost like you write everything out all big and then you have to condense it into these little pieces, which
Hmm.
I'm going to say this right now, that being songwriters is helpful because
Yeah.
a songwriter, you have a story to tell on a one page and in 3 minutes max now, because
Right.
it's so weird how like I listen to old songs. I'm like, this song's 5 minutes long.
I know, right?
Because that was like not, that's not happening anymore now. People are really not paying attention that long. But
At least when it's sync focused. I mean, but even
oh yeah,
still outside of sync,
it's really
it's
hard
just not
to,
very common anymore.
yeah. So to be able to condense that, but we used Canva, and Chelsea was really good at creating some of these tools. So she drew out, like each season, and we just put little notes in each box basically of what it was going to be for that season. And then underneath, I put in all the characters. And then
Hmm.
we eliminated characters because as you like put them in this box, I'm like, wow, that's a lot of characters. Like, oh, do
Oh,
we
you
need,
combined them?
yeah, do
Yeah.
we need them? Let's combine them, let them, so in a way, like what the ultimate goal, I think, without calling it a goal, this is in reflection, and I think self-reflection is really good. So this whole conversation is good for us because it's causing us to self-reflect on
Right?
the process. um, is that the idea, the real concept for me is you want to keep it open enough to let the series or whatever you're writing, the characters evolve into what they're supposed to be.
Right.
And in doing it, same with songwriting. So, like when you said earlier that you wrote this one, the original pilot, which actually was really good, and honestly, I could say we could have given that to somebody and been fine with moving forward,
Yeah.
but
Well, thank you.
you had a better idea. A new idea came through that was like, I think this is going to make it better, and that sometimes is hard for people to do because they're attached to the first verse, the
Right.
first part. And that happens with songwriting a lot, where
Yes.
you could write something really good and people really like it. And then you take it to one of the listening sessions that we go to.
Yep.
And then you have perspective on the people who are now, how is it communicating to them?
Right.
And then it can be a challenge to say, because I just had this happen where I've shared a song with a couple of people and they're like, this is really good.
Yeah.
There's just a few couple of tweaks that are going to make this great.
Yeah.
And then when you're working with co-writers, you have to like get everybody on board. It's not as easy, right?
Right.
Like that was
Right.
pretty easy for you and I to make that change. I,
Yeah.
also,
Yeah, because we streamline. We end up having a lot of the same thoughts, and or like if I say something, you're like, oh my God, yes, that yeah, pull it out of you or you pull it out of me, which is cool.
yeah, and I think one of the things that helped me is we kind of, as we've been going, identified our roles a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because you have, Chelsea, the master's degree in TV and film writing. So I'm like, I know you're structure oriented and your practice is in dialogue and all these things that like I might have ideas on, but I haven't had as much of the writing experience in that form.
Right. The
And yet,
actual, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I'm learning now along with you,
And you
but
are a great writer. But
But
yeah, I see what you're saying. The
but you know what I
structure.
mean? Yeah, the structure, you're like, okay, you're gonna go put it into that structure. And then I really feel like I have a strength in the tone. Like, is the tone right for this? Would this really happen? Is this make sense? Like, because of what we're talking about, I have a lot of experience. And so I'm like, okay, I'll just watch for the tone and watch for like, okay, would this happen? This might or might not happen in this area. It might happen in that area. So like
Right.
what would they call that? I'm not a continuity person, but like kind of
Yeah, because
like,
on set that would be like a script supervisor. So it's almost
yeah,
like it's almost like you're a writing supervisor now. I don't know. I can't remember what it's called, but basically, like if we were in a room,
yeah,
um, the little bit of experience that I got to be in a writer's room where we did like a 2 week intensive. So based on that, a lot of what you're saying, definitely like that is what happens in the room. They what's called break stories together. They break, the pilot. They'll if it's a brand new show, they'll figure out the season, all that stuff. And then typically the writers really don't go off by themselves until they are assigned a script for an episode to
yeah.
go write. But then they'll
Okay.
bring it back. And, the rest of the people, the rest of the writers in the room are hoping to critique, and then they'll go back and write, revise it and all, polish it up and things like that. So yeah, that's what I fell in love with when I was in grad school, because I was like, oh my gosh, TV writing. Like I had no idea that I would enjoy collaboration so much. I've talked about that before
Yeah.
in here, going back to music and things like that. But where I really first fell in love with collaboration it was in my grad school, or it was in my graduate program.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's neat to get to do that. I mean, right now it's just you and me.
Mhm.
But even just with the two of us, it has that, wonderful, like, it's not just from one mind. It's, very few people, I feel like, can write TV series or films, just them, like it's almost always better with two or more people. Yeah,
I
well,
think
I
so.
wouldn't say two or more people, like a small amount of people.
Yeah. Yeah,
Sometimes
if you
more
have
is
the
not
right
better.
people together, you get the right people
The
together
correct
to work
people.
on it and have those
Yes.
ideas. And it's like, oh my God, this is going to be,
Hmm.
I've always felt that way with making music too. Like when
Hmm.
I go in to record, it's like I've always really enjoyed. I haven't done it lately because it's costs a lot more money to hire all your
Right.
musicians, but who knows, I
Right.
may be doing that in my next couple songs. I like to give the musicians, especially if they're like session musicians and they do this, like, how do you interpret this? What do you
Hmm.
hear your instrument doing right now? I might give them a little outline.
Right.
Of course, you need to be, if they can't, there's always a couple people who like, they just want to overpower or whatever. And
Do
then
their own
yeah,
thing. Yeah.
but
Too many solos.
yeah, but then in the I might say, okay, that's a little, like, I like this part, not, this part we don't need or whatever, but it brings the life to a story or a song that one person alone, it just makes it feel so much more full, and it connects to so many more people, which I
Yep.
think is exciting. And then also just like on how we've written, we've kind of had to work through a little bit. Like sometimes we write together,
Hmm.
we do write separately too, and so but we try to get everything into the Google Doc,
Hmm.
so that we have access to it. I know like this is kind of basic stuff, but like when we're like adding stuff, I might use a different color so that
Yep.
she knows that that's my idea that I'm putting in there. So I'm not just, so that it's so hard to remember when you're doing
Right.
all this writing, who did what. And not
Yeah.
that that's important, but that you don't want, for me, I don't want to go in and like erase your idea. So
Right.
we don't want to,
And
the
vice
goal is
versa.
to, yeah, the goal is to keep all the ideas there because they could fit. Maybe it fits here, maybe it doesn't now, it could fit somewhere else. Same with
Yep.
songwriting. Like I think Lori and I often talk about the thickness of, for the one page song that we end up finishing, the amount
Yeah.
of writing that went on,
Yeah.
that's like pages behind
Yeah.
that. And we use
Yeah.
Google Docs there too, just like pages behind it. I think you might have frozen on me. Oh, there you go. I wanted to ask you something, Chelsea, that you talked about in your opening, and that was because you mentioned that you don't normally sing your own songs.
Hmm.
So And I've always been. So my question to you is how does it feel different for you? How is that different for you when you're singing a cover song and in performing and then singing one of your own songs?
That's an excellent question. And I wanted to say real quick on this is perfect. Just going from collaboration into kind of music a little bit. It was really neat. So Friday night, I was the songwriter, and my friend Danny played guitar for me, and that So I was like, okay, I'm going there as me, and I realized I'm like, you know, I was going back and forth. I'm like, do I go to the songwriter night as me, or do I go as like he and I have a just a duo right now. We're called Two Steps from Normal. Um, that's always fun to open, with like when we've done like a few little like shows or like barbecues and stuff. I'm like, we're two steps from normal. That's also our band name. um, but I realized I'm like, like after doing that, I was like, you know what? So yes, I wrote the lyrics. I came up with the melody. If for all intents and purposes, these are quote unquote my songs. But when he plays them, he adds more life to it and more magic, and the two of us together, it's better. The songs are better when he's playing, and I want him to play like be one of my I want him to play on some of the recordings. And so it dawned on me, I was like, it was so funny because like Saturday I messaged him, and he's his wife is my very best friend, and he's a very very close guy friend for me. So he and I are very close. I call him my brother now. And so I wrote him the next day, almost with like a proposal, but from a songwriter to a guitarist, I was basically like, hey. I sent him a long message. I won't share the long message. It just basically was like, hey, I'm better with you. Will you be in a band with me? And I don't want to be a songwriter by myself anymore.
Yay.
Let's be our band, like all the time, not just when we play,
Yeah.
cover, and then I'm a songwriter separately. I was like,
Yeah.
will you be my band? It's one of those. And he was like, I accept.
Awesome.
It was really fun, and it made me so happy.
Yeah.
So anyways, okay, so going back to your question, um, I think part of it is with covers, with cover songs, I feel more confident because we of course pick covers that people know and they enjoy and they're, popular. Um, so it's easy for people to listen, I know that they're not when I listen to a band or vocalist or whatever and they're singing covers, I relax because I'm like, okay, cool. This song is established. Although the vocalist in me, I am very particular about who I listen to, and when I listen to people live, I have to like tone down my judgy. I'll be honest. Like it's hard not to do that when you're a vocalist. I think everybody can relate when it's their own craft or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So I admit it. It's something I like try and work on so that I can enjoy who's playing for what it is.
Yeah.
But when it's a cover song, it's like I relax. I don't have to. It's like I'm not worried for them anymore. And so I realize I'm like that's how I am with my own stuff. Is it's like when I do covers, I'm pretty relaxed. I know the song, the audience knows the songs. I feel like it's like my brain goes, oh, well, they're going to relax. They're going to just enjoy it because they know it. We won't be distracting. I know Danny and I are solid. We practice all the time, blah, blah, blah. When it's my own songs, it's like the audience, especially like for Friday night when they knew they were my originals, because that's what the songwriter night
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. Songwriter night is that. Yeah.
Songwriter night is original pieces,
Right.
and they came there for that. It wasn't like being at a bar or a pub or whatever, and you're kind of the background. They were there to listen to your shit.
Yeah.
So part of me was really excited about that because I've never had that where it's like, okay, people in the audience are coming to listen to live original music. So that did kind of relax me, but with it being my own stuff from my own heart, that is what probably made me the most nervous, because it's like I'm sharing, my emotions are on my sleeve at that point. Um, this is something that I created. So just like somebody maybe doing their gallery,
Yeah.
and revealing their painting, what are people going to think of this?
Yeah.
It's like with covers, that part's not there for me. It's like, I know, I mean, and again, not just, it's not a conceited thing at all. It's just oh yeah, no, they know this song. It's going to be easy to get their attention and for them to just be comfortable,
Yeah.
but when it's an original and they're listening kind of hardcore to the lyrics, to the melody, to, the playing, to whatever you're doing, it's hard for me to get out of my head and not project onto them, like, oh, what do you think about this line? What do you think about this particular part of the melody? What do you think about, we go down soft here and then we bring it back up, and one of the songs talks about, not talks straight up about suicide, but it goes in that direction, right?
Yeah.
So what are they going to think about that? What are they going to think
Yeah.
about me, in terms of what I'm writing? And then my other song, what isn't as intense as that, it's basically writing about a narcissistic
Yeah.
love, which isn't really possible. um, so that one wasn't as much, so it is interesting looking at that. Like, do you, I mean, I know you don't play as much now, like you're much more interested in the
Recording. Yeah.
sync and recording, but like when you played, did you do covers, or was it all like usually all your stuff?
Yeah. Very rare did I do covers.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to ask you the same
Yeah.
question, but I'm curious if that's
Yeah. It's just, I guess I wanted to just see how I never really have been as interested in doing covers. I mean, there's been a few that I did, but they were very similar to like what I was doing. So, and San Diego, well, there's like two parts of San Diego around music. There's one part that's like, it's a tourist town. Most, if you go to a club, if you go to a show bar, if you're like, because I've been booked in bars to open up for people. It depends on, a lot of people want to hear covers, but I never did it anyways.
yeah.
Like I always just did my own stuff. But and I think I'm like the opposite. I'm so worried about messing up the cover, like, or wanting to
Get
change.
that.
I like to change covers a little bit
Right.
to where they're not exact, because I don't sing like everybody else. Like I don't have
Right.
that kind of a voice where I'm gonna just sound just like somebody else. I do have like kind of I mean, there's probably some artists I could just pick that I sound a little bit more like and cover them.
Sure.
But people that do a lot of cover music can sing in all these different ways, I guess. And so I never felt like I wanted to do covers. But I also started in the songwriting crew here, which was, San Diego had so many songwriters. It was a really strong in the 90s songwriter supportive
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
So people did come to just see you write your own songs. Like
That's
you were,
really
and
cool.
so people were doing that around me a lot. It was funny though, because I do feel like, people should know what they're getting into. Like, because, when you go to a
Like
songwriter
audience
showcase,
members?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Because if I'm going to dinner somewhere, personally,
Right.
if I'm going to go have dinner somewhere and they're going to have live music, I honestly don't probably want to hear the songs that I would sing.
Right. That's
Right?
the other thing too, is like, what are you
Yeah.
singing where and what's happening? Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, for a while I was getting booked for weddings because I was playing with this bluegrass band, and people would see us play and they'd be like, can you play our wedding? And I'd be like, do you really? You want like these? I don't, like, it's not entertainment.
Right.
It's,
Right.
but then I'd go, well, give me a list of songs that you like that I'll do. But they're going to sound like us. They're not going to
Right.
sound like, I'd have to tell them they're not going to sound like
Yeah.
the songs that you hear on the radio. And they'd be like, no, we like that. And I did some weddings that way, but I really didn't enjoy it because it was
Yeah.
like, I don't feel like I'm a songwriter to entertain. I feel like I'm a songwriter
Right.
to write a story and to speak,
Right.
to sing a story. And not everybody wants to hear that. And I appreciate that. I think as my job as a songwriter, it's like appropriate to know who I'm singing to.
Mhm.
And
Right.
so when people ask me now, like, "Oh, we should have you come and play this," I'm like, "You have you really do? I don't think you want me to." The stuff I'm singing about, it's just like the song I'm doing right now, "Lay Me Down." It's about being a little kid and like listening to your parents fight.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
like, I mean, Drew will tell you that I had the worst gig. I've had some bad gigs where I've said yes because I was just saying yes to every gig, right? And I'd come
Right,
with my
right.
band and we'd play my songs. And I was doing there was a fundraiser for Center for Community Solutions, which was like a place here that like helps women who are like fleeing domestic violence, like just, sexual assault, like just, and it's helped a lot of women, and it's a nonprofit. And one of the gals that worked there knew me, and she was like, "Can you come play our benefit?" And it was like a banquet, and it was like the DA and like all these like attorneys and stuff, and like because it's very attorney driven because they give their
Yeah,
free services to these women to
sure.
protect them, right?
Yeah.
And I get up there and I'm singing my songs, and my husband said it was the looks, like, I mean, it was the worst gig. They all were just because it was about this kind of stuff, right? I'm singing
Yeah.
like about what they're trying to help women. It was too much.
Right.
They really needed like a harpist or like somebody that was just going to come play
Just
flamenco.
instrumental. Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate that was like her intent, was like she thought this would be a good fit.
Right.
And
Sometimes
it's
you just don't know until you're
no,
there.
but I do feel like the songs I write are good for sync because you can pick and
Mhm.
choose. They're emotionally driven. Not everybody wants to go listen to the emotion. Not everybody wants to go, like I said, if I was at dinner, having dinner, and someone started singing about what I'm singing about, like this kind of
Right?
somber, like I like it dark and somber. My goal is to make you cry in your car. That's
Right.
not, you know. So
Right?
yes, I
Well, and
want
I
to.
think that's why, yeah, I think that's why covers, like why I've leaned towards covers anytime I play live, because most of the places where there, and I haven't played like a ton of places live, and they've been like barbecues or hired for,
Yeah,
small events or whatever, and so they need like upbeat, not maybe not too crazy,
yeah.
and and
So
I
it's
and I
very,
love singing other people's songs. Like I really enjoy that. So I think that's partly why I like doing covers.
yeah,
And I do like my friend Danny and I will tweak them, twist them a little bit to fit our sound, and we'll play with them a little bit. Um, but yeah, I think that's why I didn't do, like, I really haven't played a lot of my own stuff because the venue, or whatever the event was, just didn't fit for it. Plus, you said something that made me realize something else as to why I haven't done a lot of my own stuff live. For one thing, even though I've been writing, quote unquote, since I was little bitty, but like really kind of one of my, like around like 14, 15, 16
yeah,
is when I really started actually thinking of myself. I'm like, oh, I write songs. Um, Around that time and up until, good Lord, maybe even like 3 or 4 years ago, I didn't know really what my style was, what my genre was. And at the time, we were kind of, I mean, you and I, even though we're a little bit different in age, but we still grew up in that same time frame of, oh, you have to know your genre. You're put in a box, and this is what you do. You know. So I didn't know those things, and at the time, I thought I was going to go into Christian music. I thought I was going to be, go that route, but that didn't quite feel right because I was writing about things, these dark things, these, and the time I wasn't guided very well. That was like, you're allowed to feel those things, like, and not by my mom. It was just by society. It was like, you're a Christian, you don't have these sad thoughts and feelings. Well, I grew up depressed and anxious because of, the mental stuff I deal with. So it was like, okay, so that's not my genre. Well, I love singing, I used to love singing to Wilson Phillips, Paula Abdul, and so I like ran the gamut, which is lovely for now because now I'm like, I can write whatever the hell I want, like whatever genre I feel like. The two songs I did on Friday night, one of them was indie pop, is what I would call it, like indie pop border, yeah, no, indie pop. And then the other one is one of my cinematic pieces that, when it's produced out, it's going to be, you know, for those moments in a film, or a TV series where it's like, oh God, all is lost. What are we gonna do? you know? And I remember, excuse me, I asked my friend Kyle. I was like, okay, he's the one that kind of helped me get involved in this songwriters night because I didn't really know what was around here, and it was kind of a chicken to go check it out.
Yeah.
But he's been doing live music, around here for a while. And I was like, okay, Kyle, like I have this song that's, I do a lot of dark cinematic stuff. I was like, but I'd love to share it in certain venues. I'm like, do artists and bands around here, I mean, is it all poppy and happy and upbeat and big, or at least big? Maybe it's not, happy. And he's like, no. And I described him some of my pieces. He's like, go do it. Go to the songwriter nights. Go do it.
Yeah.
People want to hear
Songwriter
that stuff
nights are
too.
the place. Yeah.
But I think it's like, again, it's like with your craft in general, figuring out who is your audience, So it's like we're not going to play those things like we do this barbecue every year up at the college, for incoming students and their families. We're sort of performing for them, but also kind of in the background at parts, like we come and go as being the front and then also, stepping in the back. We're not going to play my dark cinematic stuff, at this barbecue. We might play pieces because it is fun. It's the story is sad.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's interesting, like as artists, like figuring out,
Yeah.
where to
Trying all the
record these
different.
things,
Yeah.
trying all the things, fail magnificently, as Rebecca would say, you know.
Yeah. I think that the idea, most people when they find out you sing or write songs, a lot of people have a picture of what that looks like, oh, you should come and play this, like, because it's whatever they listen to, right?
Right.
But as artists and the creative sides, I think it's good to know, I really started to find out, no, I really just like to do this. I don't really want to go and play. I don't like doing many covers. I don't like,
Right. And that's good
so
to
I'm
know.
not going to do that. It's okay to say no. Sorry, I
Absolutely.
don't play live
I think
that way.
it's very healthy. And we've talked about that where it's like it's very healthy now to say no. And it's
Yeah.
kind of, just like with values, like there are, you have certain parameters that it's like, no, this is where I've tried these other things and this is where you've explored. This is where you like to be,
Yeah.
and I think that's important for any craft. Like, again, going back to say, a painter or something, it's like, you may be the most phenomenal painter, but you got to know where I don't want to say where you fit or where you belong because that feels limiting. It's more of where do you thrive? Where does
Yeah. Where
your
do you thrive?
where does your work come to life
Yes, I like
even
that.
more? Yeah, it's like where is that, it's just like, to me it's like buying a photograph or a piece of art and buying the frame for it. It's like the frame, and in this case would be the venue, for us it'd be the venue.
Yeah.
The frame can really add to the piece or it can really detract, and it's the same
True.
thing with your craft. And so exploring those things and trying things out. I mean, you did that benefit. That was a fail magnificently
That was a
because
fail magnet. Well, every time
it's
too,
great.
I do one of the things I've learned to get me through failing magnificently is anything I do is a learning experience for the next time. So
Yes.
I always think okay, we're going to get through this gig and we're going to it's going to be like getting through one more time of practicing. It's like a lot of times we would take gigs as like a practice gig,
Right.
like getting ready to practice for a bigger gig, like
Yeah.
or just one that, was, you know, when I opened up for Xavier Rudd, that was that was a big deal for me because he's now he was just touring his first tour in the US and like it wasn't like a packed, it was almost packed, but it wasn't like a sold out show. People didn't know about him yet. Do you know who he is? He plays the didgeridoo.
I've
He
heard the
has,
name.
he has his most popular song is like follow, follow the sun, da na 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 da, da 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 da
I can
da
hear that.
da. anyways, he's lovely,
Yeah.
and he does, he's toured all over, and he's just very like down to earth. But that was a great gig. So it's like all of the other times that we had played that prepared us for that. So it's how I always think of Failing Magnificently. And I
Yeah.
know, I kind of switched us off. I like had, oh, I wrote a note saying I want to ask her about the covers, because you and I are a little different in that way. I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah, that's such a
she
fun,
does
it's
covers.
so cool to see the differences there.
The AI, that was another thing we wanted to talk about on this, is just like AI, what our take is on AI in all of this with creativity. Because, we went to the production music conference in October last year, where I'm going again. I think you're coming again. AI is a topic.
Mhm.
We saw a lot of stuff about AI there. And so, yeah, what are we doing personally and creatively with AI? How are we using it? And then, like, any thoughts on it? You could like kick it off, Chelsea, if you want.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. And I'm thinking, I loved what we were chatting about earlier and talking about the show. So if we
Yeah,
end up needing to do a part two and where we can delve more into AI, then we shall do that. But yeah, the kind of the overall, I mean, you and I have talked so much about it, about AI. Um, it was so funny. I was very reluctant um, to use AI, to even explore it at first. A lot of times I'm totally game for new technologies, new things, to see how they, just to explore them. I'm usually up for exploring new things. But it's so funny. I remember my brother introduced me to ChatGPT a couple years ago or whatever, and he's so funny because when he finds things that are potentially creative or whatever, he loves to share them with me, like that. He knows, you
yeah,
know, how much of a creative I am, and he loves like connecting on that. Um, so he was sharing that with me because he's like, check this out. He's like, you can totally write like a country song, or he's like, he loves country. So he's like, you can totally write like a country song on here. And so he gave the instruction to Chat GPT, write me a song based, include these couple words and make sure it's, upbeat or whatever.
yeah,
And sure enough, it came back with the lyric, and I was like, but I was not, like, so for those of you guys that are not watching this, I was like jaw dropped, but not in a good way. And this was back before they really started having the conversations on AI and, oh, is it going to replace creatives and stuff like that? So that's what made me really hesitant. I was like, ugh. And also a little bit of like snobbery of, oh, I don't need to use AI. I'm going to write I'm creative on my own. I'm actually not that kind of a jerk, but there was that part of me that I was like, no, I'm not going to rely on AI at all. I don't want to, basically, I didn't want to compromise the integrity of my art, right? And then slowly over the last couple years, I've started using it, kind of delving into like, well, kind of still more of like just a Google search, right? So I'm looking for different things. And then I started realizing like the different ways that I could use it in my art without it replacing what I'm doing.
yeah,
Because I started realizing and you guys, I hope you don't think I'm dumb for just realizing this over the last couple of years, but I'm like, well, I edit photos in Photoshop, right? Besides the very blatant AI tools of, cropping or cutting something out, totally pulling something out of a photo and making it look like it wasn't ever there. That's AI. Like I don't know why I didn't register that for the longest time. Same thing in music. There's certain parts of it, just the recording part, like in our DAWs, in our digital audio workfaces,
yeah.
workspace, whatever. Workspace, I think.
Workspace.
I
Yeah,
always forget workspace. There's tools in there that it's like we're not using them to make the art, but pitch correction, that's AI.
yeah. Pitch,
Right? That is,
not
and
like
a
pitch correction.
lot of, like, I don't know anybody that doesn't use pitch correction, at least to a teeny tiny degree, just because sometimes you hit something that it's like beautiful, except for this one teeny tiny little part. And I was like, oh, okay. So I utilize that sometimes. What was the other example? Oh, you were talking about Canva, or we were talking about Canva earlier. that's a lot of that stuff is AI. Now, so a lot of it's, the foundation is original art and original creations. And then you take those and you utilize AI to bring them maybe more to life, or maybe help lift them up. Like, I don't want to say that, because I don't, my big thing is, like, I don't use AI to, like I said, to create the art.
Yeah.
I use it to enhance it or help convey a little bit more. Or like when we're organizing and working on our script, we utilize it to organize our thoughts, figure out, what do we need in here? Not the actual content that's going to be in there, because that's us.
That's the difference. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like I have saved myself so much time when I'll go and use AI to organize myself, to basically where I'm weak, with like my executive functioning. I'll go in and I'll utilize AI for that, but then the actual creation of the work, the art, the writing, whatever, that's me.
The idea. Yeah. So
And
I
it
think,
really
yeah.
helps.
I think that well, I use Claude a lot at home,
Yeah.
creative, and then at work in real estate we have Chat GPT that we're using, and
Yeah.
but and I know there's other AI stuff too that I'm
Mhm.
like, but I'm just thinking of those two in particular that I
Yeah,
use,
those are
right?
kind of
That
the
are like
main.
my regular go-tos.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and Canva has an AI generated thing too. Like,
Hmm.
so I find for creative stuff, like the organization, it's really helpful for.
Hmm.
But what I don't like about it is people using the AI for the idea. So
Yes.
like, and I think that's becoming more obvious. Like, I think that,
Yeah.
um, you know, you could go learn how to do AI and say, write me a song about, just kind of create, write me a song about this. And I've tried that just to see what it does.
Yeah, just for
And it's
giggles.
like structured properly. There's a lot of stuff, but it doesn't have a real emotion to it necessarily. I mean, sometimes the words I'm like surprised, like, wow, that's kind of an interesting word.
Right.
And like, so when I am songwriting and I'm doing my own, I might converse with Claude and
Hmm.
say, like, hey, I'm working on this song. I'm trying to find a word that works well with this. This is my meaning. And then it'll give me some options. It's not
Right.
that different to me than using a thesaurus or something, or like going, but it's
It's just
just
faster.
faster. Yeah, it's just faster. But I will also say that a lot of times it's wrong. Like, it's
Yes.
not hitting it. So like,
Right.
it's not something that I can just like punch in and do, and then, it's not efficient. It does definitely need my if it's my idea, my feel, my perspective that I'm trying to write, or the perspective from someone else. I have to be very clear with myself on what I'm doing.
Hmm.
And like, but I do like the structuring idea. um and lately, like one time I did use AI, and I don't think it was that good, to try to do cover art for a song that we were submitting to something, because I needed cover art, and I
Hmm.
didn't have time to like go and do. It was like for that song Black Sheep, right? I needed, like, I had a picture. This is what I want. I kept trying to tell it what I wanted, how I wanted it. It kept giving me back. It was very generic. So like a
Hmm.
lot of stuff can look very generic to me,
Hmm.
where like
Or
a graphic
sound generic.
designer would make it look very unique. But sometimes it just works.
Hmm.
And as far as like the sound, like Suno and some of these other, I'm not a fan of that, because I
What's
think
Suno?
Suno is like the AI generated. Like, I think my niece and nephew use it. They're like 7 and 12, and they go on and they can like have make a song in 10 minutes,
Oh, wow.
and it sings it back to them. Or you can get a lot of. I've never used it, but I've watched them do it, and I've heard a lot about it. And I think there's a lot on Spotify. That there are some artists that are on Spotify that are not real artists. It's like, and there can be an argument that that's an art itself, that you're going to use
Right.
AI to create. However, as an artist, I think there's something that happens in our brains, and I think this is more important for me and people to hear. When we sit down with an instrument and I
Hmm.
play an instrument and I make that sound, and so that can also be on computer. I think
Right. Yeah,
I
because
think
some of the stuff
having,
is digital,
yeah, digital
but I'm still the
sounds,
one creating
there's
it.
something that happens there when we're doing it
Hmm.
that's not happening when we have AI or something else do it.
Yeah.
So, um, I'm a full believer in that. I want to learn it fast. I use AI all the time to help me get to, like, if I'm stuck in a song, where do I go? I don't have the music training that some of these people I work with do.
Right.
So
Same.
AI will tell me, I'm like, oh, okay. And then I can do the chord or I can do,
Right.
so I'm using it that way. I think I would even be, there's one gal that is using AI. I can't remember her, Kelly Borsch or something, Kelly Bosch. I think she's on Spotify. She is using AI as her art. And I'm kind of fascinated by that in the sense that the songs are good.
Yeah.
They're really good. And her artwork that she's doing, I don't know what she's using, is really fascinating. And it's obvious that it's AI. It's kind of like
Right.
watching a sci-fi movie or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like when you know that something, you can tell these days when something was created with Canva
Yeah.
because it's just got this feel to it. It's so
Right. It's got
interesting.
its own feel. So I'm kind of like torn on that. I think using one of her songs as like a reference song would be cool. And then going and having real music created, like real
Right.
instruments to do it. But it would, the thing that I don't like is that a lot of people they might use it um, because they don't pay, then have to pay the musicians, right? That's an argument that I'm for, that I think musicians deserve to also get paid. But we are in this world now of AI. Like, how do we balance that?
Right.
I've
Well, and
thought
going back
about,
to, oh, sorry, go ahead.
well, no, and I was going to say, I've thought about, like, okay, I've got some songs I'm redoing. What do I want to do a video? Maybe I'll try using AI for a video, combining AI and some other ideas to create a video
Mhm.
that is going to, as opposed to like, I'm not going to be able to hire a director and do a whole video for a song. And do you know what I mean? Like, so I'm starting to think about that, but I think I want more of so I have values, right? Like I have these values I live in. So
Mhm.
authenticity is a big one. It's like number two on my list, well-being and then authenticity. So
Right.
for me, I have to feel like it's authentic.
Hmm.
And if it's not authentic, I'm not going to do it. So I
Right.
think applying our values to it. Now, if your value is money and that's number one, you're going to be like, I don't care. I just want money.
Right. Right.
That's just not mine. So I
Mhm.
feel like it's not that I don't like money. I like money. I just not want to, it's not in my top
Yeah.
five of
You're
how
not
I
willing
live.
to forego other things that would you might need to in order to make the money
No,
and that
I'm not
are
gonna, yeah.
higher values,
That's why
say.
that's why I would never be with a billionaire. Like, I mean,
Right.
you know what I mean? I don't care that you have money. Like,
Right. Right.
I really don't care if you
I'd
have
be
money.
miserable if
Right.
if it was the wrong person. If it was the right person with billionaire,
My
if my
friend
husband
said,
was a billionaire, sure.
yeah, but I told I don't I told one of my friends who's a character kind of in our show. He said, "I'm surprised you never." He was talking about a woman that he was, I guess, married to somebody for his money or whatever. I'm surprised you didn't marry somebody for your money when you were young. I'm like, it would never have happened because I don't care that much about it. So I think AI and a lot of our technology is driven by that being the idea that everybody wants money at the top. Everyone wants money, 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 money. I
Right.
feel like we're in this like massive money addiction right now in our culture.
Yeah.
I don't have that. So
Hmm.
to me, I'm okay with like using it or not using it.
Hmm.
Like I'm not driven by um, I have to do it fast because if I don't do it fast, I'm not going to make the money.
Right. Right.
Which is, I think, the underlying theme with a lot of AI.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good point. And I think one of the things, kind of as you were talking, I realized one of the things that I really like AI for besides helping to structure or organize or teach me something that it's like I don't quite, like you were saying with like the where would I go next with this, like from a music theory standpoint, something that you can learn through a book or by through a classroom, like to me some of that stuff, because I, quite frankly,
Yeah.
like there's so many things that I would love to go back to school for or take a community class on, and I just can't afford that. Like that's just not an option for me. So there's even arguments that could be made that like I'm using AI in a way that's maybe not even, not even okay for some people. Like a professor might be like, I'm losing out on student, so it's like it's so hard. And I think everybody has to kind of figure out where they stand with it. But so besides learning or besides organizing and kind of structural things for me, I do love using it to learn things or
Yeah, me too.
oh gosh, I was doing a really cool deep dive, which again you can, you've got to be careful because the AI is not a professional. AI, for example, I was googling some certain things about my blood work that I got back a while back, and I was like, oh, da 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 da, and it was just kind of fun, the conversation that you kind of can't have that with doctors anymore because they don't have time for you.
Right? You have to come
But
prepared.
yeah, so yeah, exactly, and then you can come prepared. So I enjoy using it for things like that. I'll even use it for, so for example, I wish I could draw. I wish I because I have so many images in my head that I want to get out.
Yeah.
So the
Animation.
only way that I know how
Yeah.
to get them out, yeah, the only way that I know how to get them out is to write about them. But there are certain things that I'm like, like I wish I could draw like little comic, figurines and like cartoonish type things because there's so many things that happen on a day-to-day basis that are just quick flashes in my head. I'm like, oh my God, that'd be hilarious. And I can see the caption and everything. So
Yeah.
sometimes I will utilize AI for that just to get the idea down. And then my thought was, okay, then I'll find somebody that can, take this idea and create it so that it is authentic, real art, and they can put their twist on it and their style or whatever. So I'll utilize it for that. Sometimes like I try not to use it for me, I try not to use it for cover art only because I would love to pay an artist, either me as a photographer, go get the image that I want,
Yeah.
or an artist to draw it. But right now, with limited budget, I will utilize AI to a degree where it's like if there's something, one of our pieces of cover art, I really needed a very specific, let's see, what was it? Out Alive, one of the songs I co-wrote with my friend Pete. We needed kind of we wanted it by the ocean overlooking, and the sun was coming up, and it was a good morning, but it had been, the song is about, am I going to make it out alive? And by the end of the song, it is positive, it is hopeful. Um, but we needed a very specific, a gal, a lady, anyway, so lady sitting on it, kind of on a, not a shanty or shack, but somewhere next to the ocean, the sun, right, so we went through all these different iterations. So I messed with that to try and get the idea that we wanted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I
and
like
then
that.
as a bit of a graphic designer, like I then created it from there.
Yeah.
So it was like I used it to supplement in that case where I couldn't afford, but honestly, like a lot of people might still even be like, yeah, but that's taken away from, artists that want need the work. So, it's hard. It's hard to figure out,
Yeah.
sometimes what to use, or like sometimes I just I'm like, what the heck is the phrase, where I'm trying, and I'll describe it to AI where I'm like,
Sure.
what is that phrase? Sometimes I do that, and to me, like that's like that's not creating anything, that's finding the information. So I
Yeah.
guess that's where like I try and kind of look at AI. I'm like, okay, am I trying to create something, or am I looking for information to help me create?
Yeah.
Maybe
I think
that's,
that's
and
the
that's kind of
question.
where I try and evaluate, when I'm getting ready to use AI. It's still a very gray area,
And it's here to stay. I
and
mean,
it's here to stay.
I don't see AI going anywhere. It's just kind of
I don't
like
either.
it's like the internet and the computers. It's
Yep.
like as long as we're still like growing and as a in humanity at some point. I mean, it's going to be here. I think there's regulations that'll be coming on
I
some of
hope
it, which I
so.
hope so, because I think
Yeah.
that there are people that are using it to exploit.
Hmm.
But I think that it's another avenue, just like all the other avenues that we have to communicate with
Hmm.
people. It's
Yeah.
whether or not it's authentic. If it's being used in a way to manipulate and to uh, coerce or exploit, that's
Yeah.
just there's basic right from wrong. That's just like kind of how I see it. There's basic right from wrong.
Definitely.
And unfortunately, we don't live in human beings aren't all capable of living that way. There's
Right.
going to be people who, when they've been given free reign, they're going to do things to be selfish and just for
Mhm.
themselves and not to help other people or to take away from other people. So it's like I think that, there's an idea that, oh, well, we're as adults, everybody should just be able to know right from wrong, and that's we're being shown
Right.
that right now that's not the case. But I think
Right.
having the conversation more and talking about it and just having to roll with some of the changes as an artist, going forward, I would imagine that as we're getting ready to pitch our TV series, there's going to be some that are being pitched that were completely written by AI.
Oh yeah.
And I'm
Definitely.
and I'm and you know what? That's just going to be a fact, but
Mhm.
it's not going to have the experience that we've had.
Yep. It's not going to have the emotional.
It's
You
not.
can feel when there's no soul or emotion behind something.
It's not. It's
You
never
really
going to be
can.
able to do that. Human
Mhm.
beings are going to be different than anything robotic, and I think that's something that I feel like in the tech world is they're trying to push this idea
Mhm.
that one day it's going to be able to do that, and I don't think that's true. I think that as human beings and life in general is so much more complicated and so much more the smallest little pieces of us and the biggest pieces of us are driven by stuff that I can't even tell you that I'm sure scientists can, but it's kind of like, when Einstein said, he discovered you cannot destroy energy.
Right.
So it's like that energy that we have is something that's so unique that every person has. So use AI as a tool, use it ethically, use it within your values, be kind to others. There are going to be some artists that are going to lose work because of it. I mean, but there's going to be maybe other avenues for artists too with it. So I think trying to have an open mind is what I'm trying to do. I know
I
we both,
agree.
yeah, I know we both we have the rest of our day to go to, and we wanted to just talk
Yeah.
about our show and
I
AI
will.
and
I wanted to just close with one thing on AI.
yeah,
Just the other big issue that I know you and I both. Well, I mean, I believe. Anyways, yes. Sorry.
we know each other enough. You
We
probably
know
will.
each other enough. I the probably the biggest thing that I have with AI is the environmental, and I don't know enough about, how all of that works to know what the solutions are. I know that I don't know enough, but I also do trust that, some of the information that is out there, like that it uses just a ridiculous, like it's really harmful for communities, because of the environmental impact. That really, that just really weighs on my heart.
Glad you brought
Um,
that up. Yeah.
but I still use AI. So it's like, what do we, I would be so curious. This would be such a great topic to throw on our socials. Like, what do you guys think about AI? And then, is there hope for environmental, fixes for the environmental problems? I don't know, but
That's
that's
where
a whole other,
yeah, I think that is a really important thing that we should be thinking about because if advancement in technology, no matter what it is, risks our well-being on this earth and the
right.
and well-being of people,
Yeah,
It needs to,
anybody's,
anybody. It
no
needs,
matter how
I mean,
small.
for me, that's a top priority of my values.
Oh,
So I think that needs to be regulated. So
100%.
I do believe there's probably the part that is, I struggle with right now with the tech industry is the need and the speed for everything to happen so fast and all the money that's being pumped into it. And
Yes.
so if we were able to have a more enlightened view of it, which there's a lot of people that are able to do this
Hmm.
and who are able to really take a look at the environmental versus, the speed of what we're
Uh-huh.
doing this. I think it's fixable. I think
Yeah,
right
I do too.
now we're just in this world of like there's no guardrails,
Yep.
and it's going to take the people of the communities that are faced with. I mean, I've seen some videos online of the noise pollution, the water pollution.
Yeah, the water pollution's the big one that I've seen.
Yeah, and we do have, our resources here should be for human beings
Right.
and the environment, but that's, unfortunately, not everybody thinks that. I think that more creative people probably do think that way, that are like artistic and creative, and I think there's a very big disconnect right now
Hmm.
with the technology world and humanity.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that through art, and through our creativity and through expression, that bridge, there's a bridge that can come to bridge those two together. Because right now,
Yeah,
humanity is, I feel like, being uh, left in the dust.
I agree.
And
That has
and
to change.
and that has to change.
Yeah.
And yeah. And
Yeah.
on that note,
On that happy note.
we will say goodbye to
Awesome.
everybody and come back for another episode. We don't know what we're doing the next episode. Sometimes we don't know until something pops up. But
Yep.
we would love to hear from you. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're on all the platforms if you want to listen. Hope you're doing your vocal warm-ups. I actually do them now before we do our show because we talked for a
Oh,
long
very
time, so
cool.
that's a new thing. So if you
Yeah.
talk a lot in your job and you're losing your voice or having trouble, go online, find some vocal warm-ups. Those will help keep your muscles in there strong.
And they're just
And
fun sometimes.
yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, so good to see you, Christy.
Two as always.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thanks so much for listening to The Creative Download. Hosted and produced by Christy Bruneau and Chelsea Lee. Edited by Chelsea Lee.